Franklin here. Ever question reality. Ever question our purpose. Ever question what's beyond. Formerly a subtopic in the Nuanda Archives called Earthly Entries on a Tuesday. In Beyond Nuanda, we will cover topics and stories of paranormal, supernatural, UFOs, philosophy, or just whatever of interest, along with follower requests. In today's story, I will be talking about the origins of the Jade Emperor. Before we get started with today's story, I want to apologize in advance if any of these names I mispronounce. It's not intentional. I am currently wanting to learn Chinese one day, but haven't got the chance to yet. Now on to today's story. Found mentioned heavily in Taoist pantheon along with others, the Jade Emperor, once a human named Zhang Denglai, until he lost his life during a bloody civil war with the ruling of the Shang family. Later in the afterlife, him and some other victims of the conflict awaited the terrorist of canonization for their posthumous rewards. These were handed out by Zhang Zia, the commander who led the rebel forces. Gradually, each position in the celestial hierarchy was filled, with the last position being in the office of the Jade Emperor, which Zia was reserving for himself. Zia, when offered the post, with courtesy went to the people, "Wait a second." Denglai, while he considered, however, since he was an opportunist, once he heard his name, he went straight to Zia and thanked him for making him Jade Emperor. Zia, stupefied, knew there was no retracting his words. He did manage to curse Denglai quietly for his sons to become thieves and his daughters to become prostitutes, though it wasn't the case for the daughters. Many stories are mentioned concerning them. In marked contrast, the Taoist account shows the Jade Emperor earning his post through personal piety. Born to an empress after a vision of Laozi, the child was graced with unearthly compassion and charity. In his childhood, he helped the poor, hungry, and disabled, the deserted and single, and the suffering. He also showed respect and benevolence to men and creatures. He ascended the throne after the death of his father, but only for long enough for everyone in his kingdom had peace and contentment. The Jade Emperor is thought to have familial connections with many deities in the popular pantheon, including his wife and his many sons and daughters. Now, in another rendition found in The Princess and the Cowherd, the Jade Emperor is depicted differently. The Jade Emperor has a daughter whose name translates to Weaver Girl, who is responsible for weaving colorful clouds in the heaven. Every day, the beautiful cloud maiden descended to earth with the aid of a magical robe to bathe. One day, a lowly cowherd named Niu Long spotted her as she bathed in the stream. Niu Long fell instantly in love with her and stole her magic robe, which she had left on the bank of the stream, rendering her unable to escape back to heaven when she emerged from the water. Niu Long grabbed her and carried her back to his home. Little side note before we continue, I will be referencing the Jade Emperor's daughter as Weaver Girl out of respect because I have zero idea how to pronounce her proper name. If you're interested in finding out what that is, feel free to look it up, do what you need to do. But with all that out of the way, let's continue. When the Jade Emperor heard of this matter, he was furious but unable to intercede, since in the meantime his daughter had fallen in love and married the cowherd. As time passed, she grew homesick and began to miss her father. One day she came across a box containing her magic robe that her husband had hidden. She decided to visit her father back in heaven, but once she returned, the Jade Emperor summoned a river to flow across the sky, which she was unable to cross to return to her husband. The Emperor took pity on these lovers, and so once a year, on the 7th day of the 7th month of the lunar calendar, he allows them to meet on a bridge over the river. The story refers to constellations in the night sky. Weaver Girl is the star Vega in the constellation of Lyra, east of the Milky Way, and Niu Long is the star Altair in the constellation of Aquila, west of the Milky Way. Under the first quarter moon of the 7th lunar month, the lighting condition in the sky causes the Milky Way to appear dimmer. Hence the story that the two lovers are no longer separated in that one particular day each year. The 7th day of the 7th month of the lunar calendar is a holiday in China called Qixi, that's Qixi, which is a day for young lovers. If it rains on that day, it is said to be Weaver Girl's grateful tears on the occasion of her too brief reunion with her husband. The Jade Emperor's ties are even found to the origins of the Chinese zodiac in many different stories. In one story, the Jade Emperor, although having ruled heaven and earth justly and wisely for many years, had never had the time to actually visit Earth personally. He grew curious as to what the creatures looked like. Thus, he asked all the animals to visit him in heaven. The cat, being the most handsome of all animals, asked his friend the rat to wake him on the day they were to go to heaven so he wouldn't oversleep. The rat, however, was worried that he would seem ugly compared to the cat, so he didn't wake the cat. Consequently, the cat missed the meeting with the Jade Emperor and was replaced by the pig. The Jade Emperor was delighted with the animals and so decided to divide the years up amongst them. When the cat learned of what had happened, he was furious with the rat, and that, according to the story, is why cats and rats are enemies to this day. Alright, that sums up with the origins of the Jade Emperor. There's a lot more to this story that I could actually touch upon, but I just wanted to make it like a good introductory piece. Well, that will be it for this episode of Beyond Nuanda. I am Franklin, and be sure to follow the podcast if you like this content. And stay tuned for the next episode of Nuanda Archives with Fryndarr later this month. Peace.